All right, now Europe continues to be the worst affected continent, with nearly about 66,000 deaths having been reported there. Europe's death toll accounts for more than 70% of the deaths that have been recorded worldwide. Now, France, Spain and Italy continue to be the worst affected nations on the continent. So let's start in terms of what is happening in Italy, where the country has recorded nearly about 610 deaths in the last 24 hours, taking the total death toll to over 18,200. Now, Italy continues to remain the worst affected nation in the world, but it looks like the curve is finally beginning to flatten out in the country. Now, the latest data shows that the number of positive cases has increased by a little over 1% in comparison with the rise of almost about 7% 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, in Spain, about 683 people lost their lives to COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. This is a drop from yesterday's 757 deaths. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has even said that the situation is improving, vowing to have a full victory over the virus. Spain has extended its state of emergency until the 26th of April, keeping people at home for a further period of 2 weeks. The neighbouring Portugal has also tightened lockdown measures for Easter weekend. Meanwhile, in neighbouring France, the country's coronavirus death toll has now risen to 12,210. Care homes in France are accounting for more than a third of all fatalities. But for the first time since the outbreak, the number of people in intensive care units has fallen. Now, in the backdrop of the coronavirus pandemic, the European Union finance ministers have finally managed to agree to a €500 billion rescue package for the European nations that have been badly affected by the pandemic. The package will give countries access to credit of almost up to 2% of their GDP, but only on the condition that they spend it on health-related expenditure.
The package we approved today is of a size close to 4% of European GDP, plus the automatic stabilizers that are quite powerful to protect European economies in case of crisis. This is totally unprecedented. We never ever reacted so quickly to a crisis as this one.
Now, the main component of the deal is the European Stability Mechanism Bailout Fund. This will make €240 billion of cheap credit available to governments. The European Investment Bank will also be stepping up lending to companies to the tune of almost about €200 billion. The package will bring the European Union's total fiscal response to the pandemic to a whopping $3.5 trillion. This, of course, is the biggest stimulus package that's been announced in the world. But even as the European Union has agreed on the terms of the relief package, the bloc has put aside demands from Italy and Spain for pooled borrowing. Now remember, the north-south divide in Europe on coronavirus bonds continues to expose the deep divisions within the European bloc. The controversial corona bonds, which is a shared debt mechanism for finance recovery, has been supported by the nations that have been badly impacted by the virus, namely Italy, France and Spain. But other nations in the north, such as Germany and the Netherlands, do not want to share the burden of the corona bonds.